Hi, my name is Vanshika Singh and I just want to talk through my Turtle Graphics assignment. So I've started off by filling all the information, so my email, surname, first name, student ID, GitHub username, and then the link to the GitHub portfolio. And just before I start going through the checklist, I just want to explain the layout of my project. So this is my Turtle Graphics file, and this has all my valid commands set up in an array. And then I've started to process these valid commands under the process command method. And in this, I have used loads of switches and cases statements, which are responsible for the movement of my turtle and etc. And then after the process command, I have my multiple custom methods, which are responsible for the creation of my program and the movement of the turtle and the themes, as well as like error handling and then saving and loading images and commands and so on. On the side you can see multiple files, so I have my shape files which are responsible for drawing the shapes, and I've attached these using inheritance to my program. Okay, moving on to requirement 1, basic application. So my LBU graphics.jar has been properly added here. And my project also contains a main class here, you can see. And I have correctly called the about method. You can see this under my process command. Here, I've called this method do about, and I can show you that method here. And this is my do about method, and what it does is that it animates an OOP symbol on the screen, which I will show you right now. So if I put about and press enter, and it prints out OOP. And then, as I showed you previously, this is my main class. And my about method, which I just showed you right now. Okay, now moving on to requirement 2, command support. So to start off with pen down command, I have my pen up and pen down command here under my process commands, and to make them work I have used the draw off method and the draw on method. My move command works with and without a parameter, so I have initialized it here and I've used the move method, and I'll just show you my move method right now. So this is my move method, and in this method I have checked if the distance is bigger than 0, and if it isn't, it displays an error. And then I've used the forward method to move it with a parameter, and if it is not an integer, for example if it's move ABC, it will display an error like this, and I'll just show you it running. So if I put move, it shows me an error saying invalid distance for move enter an integer. But if I put move 100, it will move forward. So yeah, that works. And then my reverse command I can show you will be here. This is my method for my reverse. So what I've done is first I've converted the string distance into an integer, and then I've continued using my forward method, but instead of just distance on its own, I made it into a negative so that it moves backwards, and my error checking is still there. So if it's not a valid input, for example they put reverse ABC, it will display an error. And I can show you that working. If I put reverse and then 100, it will go back. But if I put reverse ABC, it will say invalid distance for reverse command, please enter an integer. And that's my reverse command working. Yep, as I said, reverse 100, it moves back. So next, moving on to my left command. So first I have initialized left here, and I've created a method for left. And in this method, it takes the angle and makes the turtle turn left. First, it turns it into an integer, so it can work with it later, and then it checks if the angle is between 0 and 360, and if it isn't, an error is shown. And then moving on to my left command that works with a parameter, can rotate. So as I said here, it allows my turtle to rotate however many degrees the user has typed in. And I can show you that in my code running as well. So if I put left 90, it turns 90 degrees to the left, and if I put move 100, it moves 100 that way. So that works as well. And then moving on to my right, so my right method is very similar to my left. So again, converting into an integer first and checking if it's between 0 and 360 degrees. If it's not, an error is displayed. And then I've used the right method to make it move in the direction. Otherwise, if there is an invalid angle, for example, right ABC, it will show us another error. And to run this code, I will type right 90, and it turns 90 degrees to the right. And then if I put move 100, it moves forward. So that's my right command working. My pen up command works as well. So if I type pen up here, first it gives you a pop-up message saying pen is lifted. Turtle will move without drawing. So right now, whenever the turtle moves, we won't see anything. However, there is also a pen down command, which means that the turtle will be drawing as it's moving. So now if we type right 90 and move 100, it draws a red line in that direction. And if we say left 90, it move 50, you could see the turtle drawing. So, and if we put pen up, it lifts the pen. So now whenever the turtle moves, so we do this, we can see on the screen. Whenever the turtle moves, there is no ink. So this part of my program works. Okay, so moving on to my 4 color commands. So currently I've got 5 ink colors, including red, green, black, white, and then I have blue and then pink as well. So I know black and white may not be seen, like black may not be seen in this background, but I have got 2 different types of background, so white and black, and these 2 colors are visible later on in the program. So I can show you that these colors work. I've just cleared my canvas. So if I put pen down and then move 100, the red ink. And then if I change my ink to pink, and then move 100, pink. And then if I change my ink again to green, move 100. And then if I change it to white, and then left 90, and then move 100. And these are my 4 commands. And now if we change it to blue, a pop-up message will come, and if we move forward in that direction, you can see the blue ink. So these are my 5 different types of inks. And then moving on, clear command is working. So first I'll show you this in my code. So I have first initialized my clear here, and then I've made a handle clear method which is responsible for clearing my canvas. And in this method I have first made sure that if the image isn't saved, which I will talk more on later in this video, it gives the option to save the image and so on. And if everything else is fine and they want to continue with the clearing, I've used the clear method here to clear the canvas, and I'll show you that the clear method works. Because I haven't saved this drawing, a pop-up message comes up saying that you haven't saved your drawing. Are you sure you want to clear everything? And because I want to clear everything, I'll press yes, and everything has now been cleared. And yeah, so my clear command is working. Okay, now moving on to my reset command. So again, I have initialized it here and use the reset method to just reset everything. And I can show you that working here. So if I put right 90 and then move 100, it draws a line. And then if I just type reset, it resets the turtle in the original direction and point it was on before at the start. So yes, it works. Okay, now moving on to validating commands, which is requirement 3. So reports invalid command, type xxx. Right, so first I'll show you my code where it would detect. So as I explained before, that I have made an array for my valid commands. And under my process command method, I have made this, I've included this line of code which basically says that if whatever the user has typed is not in that array, this message would be displayed, invalid command. And if you need further information on valid commands, just type help. And I can run this here. So if I just start off by clearing, and then if I just type xxx, it says xxx invalid command. If you need further help, just type help. Okay, so that works. And then okay, so moving on, detecting valid commands with missing parameters. So type move. So first I'll just show you where the code for that is. So under my move method, I have made sure that if the user enters a move on its own or move with non-numeric parameters, it prints out this message, and I can show you that in my code. If I rerun it, just waiting for it to reload. Yep. So if I put move on its own, it says an error message which says that invalid distance for move, enter an integer after the move statement. So yeah, so it detects valid command with missing parameters, detects non-numeric. So as I said before, that same statement, that same error statement would be displayed if we put a non-numeric invalid distance for move, enter an integer after the move statement. So it works for both. So yes, bound parameters, for example, you can choose. Okay, so personally in my program, what I have done is that it cannot take it's controlled here. So if because at the start I have made the distance into an integer, and then I've said if the distance is less than 0, it will print out an error message saying distance cannot be negative. And you could see this here. So if I put move, if I put move negative 100, it will say distance cannot be negative, please enter a positive number. However, what my program is capable of doing is that it can pass excessively large numbers as long as it's a positive. So if I put 500, it will keep on going in that direction. So it can pass excessively large numbers, but it cannot pass negative values. So yes. Okay, now moving on to requirement 4, saving and loading commands. So first thing, save command works to save an image. Right, so first I'll just like to go through my save command and load command in my code. So first I've started off by creating an array command history, and what I've done is that I've kept on adding all the different commands that the user inputs automatically get included into the array. So for that, what I have done is that I've created 2 separate methods, save commands and load commands. So I'll just go through the save command method first. So first what it does is that it defines a folder for save commands where everything, where all the files will be saved to. And then, so yeah, as I was saying, sorry about that. So as I was saying, first it defines the folder. Second, it checks if it ends with a dot text at the end, and if it doesn't, it adds the dot text at the end. And then what it does is that it then makes sure that the file doesn't already exist, and if it does exist, it displays an error message. And I've done this so that there are not any like duplicates in my program. And after everything else is done, it finally saves the text files and displays a confirmation command saying command saved to and then the file name. However, if there's at any point if there's any like errors that have happened, this message will be displayed to the user. And now I'm gonna go over my load commands as well at the same time. So if I open this, so first again, what it does is that it checks that it ends with a dot text, and if it doesn't, it adds a dot text at the end because that's how all my files are going to be saved. And then again, I have defined the folder where all my commands would be saved to, which is the same as the one before. And then it checks if it already exists. So if the user has inputted a file name that doesn't exist, it will display an error saying that command file doesn't exist. And one thing I have done with loaded commands is that I've made sure that the pop-up messages are removed so that it doesn't cause any like interruptions in my program. And once they're fully loaded after this, the pop-up messages are back on, just to make it more user friendly. And yeah, and once it's done, it gives you a successful confirmation saying commands are loaded and executed from whichever file they wanted it. And if there's an error, it prints out an error message here as well. Another thing I forgot to talk about earlier was with my save commands. So what I have done at the very start is that let me just go on to it. Right, so here, what I've done with my array that I talked about earlier, command history. So I made sure that when the user is typing commands such as save commands, load commands, save image, load image, whatever, those commands aren't saved into the array, just so that it doesn't cause any like errors or interruptions later on in the program whenever they're loading the commands, just to make the experience more better. And now I'm gonna go run my commands. I'll just rerun this. Okay. Right. Okay, so it says save command works to save an image or something. So if I just go here and then I do pen down type of removing, and then I change the ink to pink. Sorry, let me try that again. Ink change to pink, and then I go forward, and then maybe left 90, and then let's do blue, and then move 100. And I think this is all I'm going to do, and then I'm going to try and save save these. I'm so sorry, I have moved forward accidentally with my checklist, so I didn't realize that I was doing it for the commands and not for the image. So I'll just like to finish off my commands as I've already explained it and everything, and then I'll move back onto my image after that. Okay, so so yeah, and then as I've drew these two lines and changed the inks, I'm now going to save my commands. So save command, and then I'm going to name this file, let's say lines, and then the pop-up message comes that command saved to lines.txt, and then I'm going to clear this, and because I haven't saved any of this image, this pop-up message comes up, but because I don't really want to save this image right now, I'm just gonna yep, now everything has been cleared, and now this has been the text files have been successfully saved, so I'm going to tick this off. Yes, and then load the text file of command execute them, use the command save. So first I'm going to show you that the text file is actually saved. So you could see that on the side. So if I go onto my save commands, and then this Let me open that as well so you can see all the commands that are saved. Yep, so all these commands are saved here in this text file. And now I'm gonna try and load these commands back onto my canvas. If I put load commands lines, and it gives you a message saying commands loaded and executed from line.txt. So, and now you can see that because I have now executed and saved the command files, I can tick off these two things. Okay, I apologize for moving forward earlier. Now we're going to go back to my save command for my image and load command for my image. So I'm going to talk through my code first and then run the code and show you how my program actually works. So I have made two methods very similar to load and save commands. However, okay, now my save image. So first, again, very similar, I check if the name ends with a PNG, and if it doesn't, it adds an extension, and then I define the folder, and then what I do is that first I check if the file already exists, and and if it doesn't exist, it continues with the saving process. But if it does exist, what it does is that it asks the user if they want to replace their work, and it gives them an option of whether they want to go forward with saving the image and replacing it, or they want to cancel the whole saving process. And then this writes the image and everything and successfully saves it. And then I have made this exception here just in case there's an error in the saving process, and then it prints the message out, failed to save image, and then the file name. So that's my save image method. And then going on to the load image, again, quite similar to my commands. It adds the PNG if it's not already there, and then it goes into the define folder, and then it checks if the file exists or not. And if the file doesn't exist, an error message is displayed that this file does not exist, and then it reads off the image and then shows the image on the screen. And then after the whole printing the image out again, it displays a message saying that image loaded from the folder and everything. And then if this process has any errors, an error message is also shown. And now I'm gonna try running the code. If I just want to clear this, and then you haven't saved your drawing, are you sure you want to clear everything? Yes, I don't really want to save it right now. So now if I draw a square, maybe I will talk about this specific command as well later on in the video. So if I just draw a square really quick, my bad, I did not put pen down because I've cleared everything in my program. Everything goes back to default settings, so I have to type pen down again to make sure the turtle is going to draw something on the screen. So yeah, again, my square command, and the square is drawn, and then I'm gonna try and save this image as let's call it blue square. Image saved successfully as blue square. The message is printed, and then let's just clear this and let's check if sorry, as I was saying, yes, let's check if it's there. So under the saved image, we have bluesquare.png saved, and I'm just gonna show you the image here first. So yeah, we have the image saved, and now let's try loading the image back on. So let's try load image blue square, and then it's loaded, and then it comes up with a message saying image loaded from bluesquare.png. So this is successful, so we can tick off these two criterias. Yeah, and we've already done this previously. Like I said, I did that in the wrong order. So now we move forward to a warning is displayed. So if the current image is not saved. So let's clear this and let's reset it to... Okay, so a warning is displayed somewhere if the current image is not saved. So yes, I have done that, and I'll show you that in my code. So I have created this handle clear method, and this says if the image is not saved, it prints out this message saying that you haven't saved your drawing. Are you sure you want to discard or clear everything? And it gives them two options, yes or no. And if they press no, they don't want to clear everything, it shows them a message clear, cancelled, and drawing not lost. And if they press yes, everything has now been cleared. This message would be then displayed on their screen, and everything would then be cleared. And I can show you this in my code. So if I just pen down, and then if I put move 100, and then if I just want to go press clear, I think you might have seen this previously in this video as well, but now I'm just going to explain it properly. So because I haven't saved this image yet, this message will be displayed on the screen. So you haven't saved your drawing, are you sure you want to clear everything? And because I don't want to clear everything, maybe I want to save it, I'll press no, and it says clear, cancel, drawing not lost. So now I can go back and then type save image and etc. to save this image. So yes, that works. So a warning is displayed, and it's displayed in a GUI dialog box. And yeah. Okay, now moving on to requirement 5, which is inheritance. So as I have explained at the start of my video, that in my project I have used inheritance for my different shape files. So here you could see I have a shape driver, and this is the file that I have attached to the rest of my shape files. So yep, this is my shape driver, and I've attached all my other shape files to this. So for example, I have my square, my custom triangle, and equilateral triangle, and then I'm going to talk about this just as I do my checklist. So for my first checklist, it says override the about method. So I have not done this fully. I have included dance as a valid command, and it does a little dance on the screen, but I have not been able to successfully override the about method, so no, I could not do this. Implemented a squared length command. Okay, so this is something that I have done. So as I said, I have created different shapes. So this file in particular extends the shape driver, as I said, and what it does is that it takes two parameters, the turtle for drawing and then the length, and then I've used the draw method, which I've override from the shape driver. And what this does is that it draws this the square out. So I've used a loop, which repeats the process of repeating the movement of the turtle 4 times. So moving and then turning and then moving and turning 4 times to create a square. And I can show this in my I've showed this in my code, and then I can show it here as well. So if I type square 100, let me try this again actually, because it's not the best. Yes, I want to clear everything. Okay, so let me try and do the square again. And it perfectly draws the square out. And I've also made sure that whenever the user type square, it makes sure that it's not just square on its own. They have to put a parameter after that, and if they don't enter two different values, so one square and one parameter, this message will be displayed. And yeah, so that's for my square, and I can take this off. Okay, so now I want to talk about my pen color command, which takes in 3 values for red, green, and blue. So first, okay, so first I'd like to show this in my code. And it's here. So again, what it does, it first starts off by checking that the user has entered 4 different inputs. So 1 for pen color, and then 3 inputs after that for the red, green, and blue colors. And then what it does, then it converts the red, green, blue as integers, because at the start, if the user enters these 3 numbers, they're going to be strings. So in order to work with them, we have to convert them into integers. And then we have to make sure that the integers are in the right boundaries. So it has to be more than 0 and less than 255. And same for all 3 of them. And if they're not, this message will be outputted invalid RGB values. Please enter a value between 0 and 255. And once it's all valid and it's all correct, it goes on to creating a new color. And I've used set pen color as the method, which converts it into a valid color. And then if at any point there is an error in between this process, it displays invalid input, please enter valid integers. And I've also made sure to correctly and make it as obvious as possible to display this message out, which says that make sure the colors are separated by a space only and no commas, just in case they were entering commas in as well in their command. And now I'm gonna go on to running this. So again, I just want to clear this. I don't want to save it. And now I'm going to go on to pen down, and I want to do pen color and then enter my RGB value, so 255, no commas because you're not allowed comma, and then 240, and then it comes up with this. So the pen color is now set to RGB 255 0 240, and now we can draw a square again to check the color. I have misspelt square. Square. Command square. You need to enter your length. Error checking. Square 100. And this new color is now displayed on the screen. And yes, so we can tick this off finally. I have named it pen color, just so it's just easier for the user to know what they're trying to do with that command. They're trying to change the pen color. So yeah. Okay, so now moving on to pen width command. So what I've done here is first I've initiated it, and then I made a separate method for pen width, which I would like to talk about. So here. So what I've done here is that first it makes sure that there is a width to work with, so not just pen width on its own, it has another parameter next to it. And if they don't have that, if the command length is less than 2, which means there's only pen width written, it will display this message out saying that you can now change the width of your lines, make sure your integers between 1 and 10. And then what I've done is that I have used the integer handling method, which confirms that the input is between 1 and 10. And then once it confirms that, it displays a message out. Pen width is set to however much the user is wanting, and then it draws the shape or anything with that pen width. And now I can just go and check that the program actually works as it's supposed to. So if I go here, and then if I just clear this, and then if I just change my pen width to maybe 7, pen width is set to 7, and then do square 100. My bad, I did not put pen down. Pen down. Pen width 7. Pen width is set to 7, and then square 100, and the width is now different. So yes, and just to make sure that the error checking also works, I put pen width on its own. It says you can now change the width of your lines. Make sure your integer is between 1 to 10. So what it does is that it confirms that the pen width can be changed. All you need to do is just enter an integer after that. And if I put pen width, this, which is obviously larger than 10, it says error, pen width must be between 1 and 10. And if I put pen width and ABC, invalid input for pen width, please enter an integer. So that's error checking done as well. So yes, we can tick this off. Okay, now moving on to my triangle, or triangles, should I say. So a triangle command that draws an equilateral. So I have got 2 different types of triangles, which I have used inheritance on. So I have my equilateral triangle and custom triangle. So equilateral triangle is going to be the same on the 3 sides. So if I just open this and then show you the code. Okay, so let's just go on to this. So what I've done is that I have all my I have my size of okay, yeah, sorry about that. So I have my size, which is going to be the length of my triangle, and what I've done is that it stores the size into this variable, and then in my draw method, which I have again override from my shape driver, very similar to my square, I have then created a loop similar to my square method, and use the size, which is stored again at the start, and looped it to draw a triangle with 3 equal sides. So it moves forward and then right 3 times to draw an equilateral triangle. So that is for my equilateral triangle. And then in my Turtle graphics file, I've got it here. So again, if the person types triangle without anything, it displays an error saying that the command is invalid. You need to enter your parameters, you need to enter your sides. And what I've done is that if the user has included a comma, it would automatically think of it as the custom triangle, which I will explain later. But if it doesn't have any of the commas, it will take it as an equilateral triangle, and then it will draw the shape. And there is also an error handling message here saying that if they did not enter a valid integer, it will show this error saying that please enter a valid number for triangle size. And then I'm just gonna go and show you how it would be done. So I press clear. I don't really want to save it now. So so let's type pen down first so that it actually draws something, and then triangle, and let's say 100 just to make it visible, and it draws that triangle out. So, and if I move away from my triangle, move 100, get a better view. So yeah, all three sides are equal, therefore it's an equilateral triangle. So we can mark this as yes. And just if we want to do further error checking, I will clear this first actually. And then let's just put pen down. Sorry about that, I accidentally print screened it. Pen down, and then let's do triangle ABC. Please enter a valid number for the triangle size. So obviously, because this is not an integer, the error message is displayed on the screen. And we've ticked this off. Okay, so now as I said, I had two different triangles, one for equilateral and one for a custom triangle. So what I've done is I have created another method, and I've used inheritance to attach it to my shape driver, and it's called custom triangle. And what I've done in this is that first I started off by attaching it to shape driver, obviously, and then I have made an array called sides, which stores the different inputs of the user. And yep, so this part is basically storing all the sides, and then it passes on to the parent class and everything. And then this method draw, again very similar, so it uses a for loop to draw the three different sides the user has inputted. And yeah, and again in my turtle graphics, as I said, as I explained it just before, that if the user types triangle and then in their input they put a comma, it will automatically take it as a custom triangle because those needs to be separated by a comma. And then it does the check that if there aren't three parts to it, it shows them this error which says what I've done later is that it then turns them into an integer, and then it trims them down so it splits. Then it draws the triangle out, and then at the end I have a little bit of a error checking message that in case they have not entered three integer values, or they've not added a comma or added a space after a comma, it will show them this error: all three values must be integers. And now I can check this as I run the code. So if I put triangle, let's just check the pen down is working. So pen down, right? Okay, so now we do triangle. Let's do 100, 90, 100. It might not be the most perfect triangle, but it works, and we can check this by pen down, sorry, pen up, so that we can just check, and then we can move away from the triangle. So it's not an equilateral triangle because of this specific part, it's overlapping, and it's not supposed to be overlapping if it's an equilateral triangle. So this works, so it creates a custom triangle. And now if I just want to do some error checking, what I can do is just, first I'll just clear this, and then I'll do pen down, and then let's do triangle. Let's say that if I did not add any commas and I've just done it like this, it gives me a warning saying command triangle size or triangle. So these are my two commands. It first displays the type of commands that it can take, and then it gives them a message saying that you need to enter size of your equilateral triangle or your custom triangle. Make sure there are no spaces included in between your sides for your custom triangle. So this means that I cannot add spaces, so I have to use my commas. And now, in case a user accidentally types their size as 100, comma A, and then 90 or 80, whatever, all three values must be integers. So because A is not an integer, this error message would also be displayed. Okay. So we have done this. Okay, so moving on, things that are not specifically required on the mark scheme, anything else to add? So yes, other than the square, then the two triangles, I have also coded to make a circle as a part of my project. So, so here, what I have done is that if the user types circle on its own, it displays an error saying that please enter radius of your circle as well. And then what I've done is I've created a method, which I will talk about right now. This method, draw circle. So what it does is that first, before it checked that if it had a radius. So once we check that it has a radius, we convert that radius into an integer, just so we could work with it later on. And then I've used a circle method, and entered radius here inside the brackets to make sure the circle is drawn with the right radius. And after that, I've added a little error checking message here, so which says that invalid radius for circle, please enter an integer, just in case they did not enter an integer, they entered ABC or just circle and then any special characters. So yeah, and now I'm gonna test that out. So let's do pen down, circle, and let's do 100. And it draws the circle out. And just error check, I would just type circle on its own. It says please enter a radius for your circle. And then if I do circle ABC, invalid radius for your circle, please enter an integer. So the error checking works as well. And then other than the shapes, what I have done is that I've taken the time to sorry, let me just close this down just so it's easier for me to tear it. So I have also included different themes, and for that I have created this method, set theme. So this allows the user to change between light and dark theme, and I have coded it to be like if the user enters light, it would, change the background into a white theme and change the pen color to black, and it will clear everything and reset everything. So this means that if the user is drawing something and in the middle they want to change their themes, their work will be discarded. So this message then pops up saying that your work will be discarded if you change themes. So if you want to save, this is your time to save, and then it gives them the option, do you want to save? And if they say yes, it then shows them this message saying that to save your work, just type save image. And if they say no, it goes on to just clearing everything and changing the background. And then if they want to change from the light theme to go on to the dark theme, it again does the same thing. It gives them the warning that your work will be discarded if you change themes, and if you want to save, type save image, and if you don't, and then it just automatically changes the color. And yeah, but one thing it is that the dark theme is a default theme, so as soon as you open the program, black theme would be the theme that you would be addressed to first, like this. So the black theme is a default theme, but now if I wanna just change themes, so if I do theme light, it will say your work will be discarded, save your work if you don't want to lose it. And because I've not saved this image, this message is going to get displayed. So if I don't want to save it, so I'm going to press no, and then light theme is applied. And then I can do my drawing. So let's do going back to default settings. So and then square 100. And then it does that. And if I want to go back onto my dark theme, I'll do theme dark. And again, it says the work will be discarded, save your work if you don't want to lose it. And if I say, yes, I do want to save it, it just comes up with this information saying that to save your current work, please type save image. And for my error checking, what I have done is that here, under my process command method, I have said that if they've just entered one thing, which is theme on its own, it displays them a message saying, please choose a theme, try theme light or theme dark. And then if they don't put a theme light or theme dark message on the command, it says unknown theme, and then the theme choice that they have said, and then please choose from theme light or theme dark. So I'll just do this error checking here as well. So if I put theme pink, for example, obviously that theme has not been added, so it will come up with an error saying unknown theme pink, please choose from theme light or theme dark. Or if I just put theme on its own, it will say please choose a theme, try theme light or theme dark. So just to make it as user friendly as possible, and just so the user knows what they need to type when, I have included these messages. And then again, as I said, I wanted to make it user friendly. I have specifically added a help section. So at the start, what I have done is that if they type an invalid command here, if the command that they typed in is not from that list at the top, this list, it will give them this error, invalid command. And if you need further information, just simply type help. So I'll just test this out. So if do this, and if I type back is not a valid command because I have not incorporated it yet. So it says back invalid command. If you need further information on valid command, simply type help. And just in case the user doesn't know what the turtle can do, and they type help, a list of valid commands appear on the screen. So the movement of the turtle and the inks that it can have, and then the saving and the loading images and commands, and then the different themes, and then all the different shapes that you can have. So there are a variety of different commands that you could see on that screen, just for the user to know what they can do with this turtle. And then finally, the last thing which I have incorporated into my program is, let me just close this down, yep, and then is the exit command. So if the user types exit, sorry, let me just scroll. If the user type exit, the exit method would. And so, yeah, this is the exit method. So again, first it starts off by checking if the image is saved. And if the image is not saved, it gives them the choice to be able to save it. And again, very similar to my theme, that if the drawing isn't saved, it gives them the option, do you want to save it, yes or no? And if they press yes, it says to save your current image, type save image. And if they don't, it gives them a message at the end saying goodbye, closing Turtle Graphics application, and then create a bunch of things. So it gives them a nice message to close the program. So you don't have to press this X at the top. You can just be like, exit, and it says goodbye, closing Title Graphics application. And yeah, and these are my 3 different types of things I added just to make it more user friendly, a bit more like a real environment. So I'm just gonna type these in. So I have added an extra shape of font. I've included two types of theme, and then finally command to close the program. And this is it for my checklist. I have gone through each and every criteria of what I have completed and what I have failed to complete it. Yes. And I think this is it. Now I just have to complete the rest of the criteria. So I have shown this form in the demo. I have put my name and group in the README file in the root directory of my Yes, and I've explained my code in this demo. I've tried to explain the best I could in this demo. I will submit this form now and upload Yes. Okay, thank you so much for listening, and I hope I did a good job explaining my code.